The headlines, the issues impacting you and your family. This week in Cincinnati on WCPO 9.
Welcome, and we certainly hope you're enjoying your weekend right now. I'm Craig McKee. During this half hour, we will take a look back at some of the most impactful stories WCPO 9 News covered for you this week. We begin with an ITeam investigation into the corruption case against Jeff Pastor. Federal prosecutors have already named former Cincinnati Bengal Chinedum Ndukwe as one confidential witness in their corruption probe. But the identity of the second confidential witness has been a secret until now. Investigative reporters Dan Monk and Paula Christian revealed the name of the second developer who helped the FBI build its case and why some attorneys are now questioning the credibility of that secret witness.
Developer Chris Hildebrandt is a familiar face at City Hall. As CEO of the Morelia Group, Hildebrandt asked for and got city support on many projects over the years, including this daycare center. But what happened when Hildebrandt wanted to buy city land for a retail development in Oakley in 2018 on a parcel known as the Kennedy Connector? 4 anonymous sources with direct knowledge of the alleged events confirmed the Kennedy Connector was the unnamed project number 2 in last November's bribery indictment against suspended city councilman Jeff Pastor, and that Hildebrandt was confidential witness number 2. We matched the dates from Pastor's indictment with these city documents obtained through a public records request. Pastor's attorney, Ben Dusing, had this to say about the ITeam's discovery.
I find information regarding Mr. Hildebrandt to be extremely relevant, to my representation of Mr. Pastor.
Dusing knows the identity of the secret witness, but says a court order bans him from publicly disclosing it.
It would seem that dots have been connected.
Hildebrandt's attorney, Chad Zipfel, would not go on camera for this story. But in a statement to the ITeam, he says in part, Mr. Hildebrandt will not dignify the allegations by such unnamed sources with any response. This isn't the first time that Hildebrandt has been a witness in a bribery investigation. Hildebrandt says that Sycamore Township trustee Tom Weidman asked him for bribes to support land deals from 2009 to 2012, according to a lawsuit the Morelia Group, which Hildebrandt is CEO of, filed in Hamilton County last month. The state auditor's office investigated bribery allegations against Weidman last year. It ended its probe with no charges being filed.
We have some suspicions about what's happened, and if we can prove those, I think they'll be very helpful to both getting the frivolous lawsuit dismissed and also pursuing our own claims.
Todd McMurtry is Weidman's attorney. He filed a defamation lawsuit against Hildebrandt in February, claiming the bribery allegations are a vicious lie that damaged Weidman's reputation. He says he will seek evidence of Hildebrandt's potential history as an FBI informant soon as part of his lawsuit.
I think it goes to the credibility of the witness. And also we want to know if he informed at all against Mr. Weidman. So it goes directly to allegations that I think would support our claims for defamation.
Hildebrandt's attorney asked the state for immunity for Hildebrandt in the Sycamore bribery investigation, according to state auditor records. When state agents asked Hildebrandt about bribery allegations, he refused to answer questions. He took the Fifth Amendment 21 times. Here's a recording of that 2020 meeting.
I'm going to take the Fifth Amendment right, plead the Fifth.
Hildebrandt also refused to answer questions about a fake email he created and sent to himself in which it appeared that Weidman was demanding bribes. His attorney admitted to state agents that the email was fake, according to auditors' investigative records. But Weidman had plenty to say in his interview with state agents.
I mean, I can't even believe this. I'm going to sue this guy into frickin' Stone Age.
The ITeam also discovered that Hildebrandt's father, Charles Hildebrandt, served prison time for fraud involving the Florence Freedom Minor League Stadium, where his son Chris was a player, according to court documents. In a motion filed in U.S. District Court in 2006, the elder Hildebrandt asked for a shorter prison term. He wrote that his son, who he did not name, helped the FBI in a drug investigation of Pete Rose Jr. and, quote, even wore a wire on several occasions in the attempt to catch Mr. Pete Rose and Mr. Pete Rose Jr. in their gambling and drug trafficking case. Chris Hildebrandt's attorney says any allegation that his client helped the FBI in its case against Rose or Rose Jr., quote, is simply untrue. In a statement to the ITeam, he says in part, quote, Christopher Hildebrand has a younger brother who is acquainted with Mr. Rose Jr. If there's any truth at all to the filing, it could be that Mr. Hildebrand's brother, to whom Charles might be referring. Rose Jr. pleaded guilty to a minor drug charge in 2005. He was sentenced to 1 month in prison. Meanwhile, Dusing says the credibility of all cooperating witnesses are important to Pastor's case. No trial date has been set. He faces several years in prison if convicted.
And it goes directly to the integrity of these prosecutions.
Paula Christian and Dan Monk, WCPO 9 ITeam.
If you'd like to learn more about the Minnesota bank that sued Hildebrand in federal court and later settled that suit, you can read Dan and Paula's online story at WCPO.com.
We're not going to protect ourselves with love, then we got to protect ourselves with a little bit of greed.
Registration opened this week for Ohio's Vaccination Lottery. It will pay $1 million to one winner every week for the next month. The first drawing for the Vaccination is set for Monday. When he announced this, Governor Mike DeWine hoped that it would encourage more people to get vaccinated. By Thursday, vaccination in the Buckeye State was up 53% compared to the week before. The state's Department of Health says more than 113,000 Ohioans had received a dose by then since the announcement. WCPO 9 News reporter Larry Seward saw the impact Vaccination was having firsthand.
They are always prepared for a line here. Notice the markers on the floor, spaced 6 feet apart, leading into the ballroom where Hamilton County runs its vaccine clinic, where we saw a steady flow of people the day eligibility expanded to 12-year-olds last week. But as you can see, the start of the lottery registration hardly filled this room. Ohio's Vaccination Lottery just opened for registration, offers 5 $1 million lump sum checks to Ohioans signing up after getting COVID-19 vaccine.
I didn't know about this until you told me.
Was news to Colerain's Alante Jones.
I got to take care of my nurse, Joanne. I think I'll give her a little cut.
And anything but motivation for Grant Loneman of Norwood.
I was always planning on getting the vaccine. I felt like it's an important thing to do, but figured, hey, let's get the vaccine. If I get a free $1 million out of it, I can take care of my family.
I feel good knowing I'm going to be vaccinated, but it's also a good feeling knowing I could win $1 million.
The idea grabbing global headlines has plenty of critics. On Facebook, some slam the program that uses federal CARES Act dollars. Absolutely asinine idea, Cindy Phillips wrote, and inappropriate use of taxpayer monies. Margaret Manello said money should be used for shelters, food centers, medical, etc. No, no, no. This on so many levels is wrong. Jennifer Iliff's message says, I don't totally agree with this, but I did register, and I highly doubt any naysayers would turn it down if their name was drawn. Dr. Odell Owens, a member of Ohio's Minority Health Strike Force, has mixed feelings.
I really feel that if you're not impressed by the death rate, if you're not impressed by the science, if you're not impressed by all the hospitalizations, if you're not impressed by the long haulers, those are people that got COVID a year ago and are still suffering some symptoms, then what is it going to take? However, we're dealing now with the core group of people who are most resistant, then I think you have to pull out all the stops. So if offering incentives is going to get us to herd immunity, then I'm for it.
While he hopes for busier clinics.
I don't think anybody's really going to turn down an opportunity to win $1 million. I mean, there's people that play the lottery every day.
Jones thinks it's just a matter of time before people holding out take the chance. In Sharonville, Larry Seward, WCPO 9 News.
A simple act of kindness
I buy Vets beers, that's it.
goes a long way, and a local organization is using the drink money to help honor our fallen heroes. Welcome back to This Week in Cincinnati. I'm Craig McKee. Thank you for your service. It's a phrase often said when someone discovers that I'm an Air Force veteran. Now, an Army veteran's husband has come up with a way for you to buy a beer for a local veteran without ever stepping into a brewery.
I'm going to be at this brewery on this day. Do you want to show up and buy some beers? And I was like, yes, it's exactly what I want to do with this program.
Well, Matt Damaris' main job is in real estate. He and some friends had an idea before the pandemic set in. Start giving cold pints to those who served our country.
It's really that simple, man. I go around to the breweries and I buy Vets beers. That's it.
Free beer from Krista from Loveland. Thank you so much, Krista from Loveland, for my free beer, and thank you for recognizing the veterans in the area.
There's more to it than just a nice cold craft beer. Matt has teamed up with Operation Honor out of northern Kentucky.
it's a win-win.
Joe Montgomery heads up Operation Honor. We first met him when I showcased Operation Honor's mission to replace the Chinese-made burial flags with veteran-made ones at Kentucky Veterans Cemetery.
We literally have 2.5 acres that we're going to purchase right behind there for Patriots Landing.
He says Patriots Landing will allow him to fully fulfill his mission. Aside from making flag cases, veterans will be able to come there to immerse themselves in woodworking and within the grain, therapy.
So they come into the shop and they just start creating products and they kind of turn off and they're not thinking about a lot. And a lot of them say it takes the anxiety away. They can talk shop with other veterans and not feel like they're in therapy or, and then they're producing something which gives them a purpose. They love signing the back of the products, and we love it.
Some of those veteran-built flag cases sit on the bar at area breweries as donation boxes.
We collect $10 donations. Whatever the cost of that beer is, the balance of it goes to Operation Honor.
Matt says they're in the infancy and that the pandemic didn't help things, with many bars either closed or limited, but says word is spreading and he has beers to buy.
How many beers have you been able to give away? How much money have you been able to give to Operation Honor?
So for Operation Honor with this, I think we're right around 1,500 or so, which equates to about 150 beers that we've given out. However, I've got a ton of these things. This is just my stack right here. I mean, I've got 40 or 50 that I have to give away as soon as possible.
Yeah, as soon as possible. As you said, Matt says he's 40 or 50 there, but the breweries themselves, well, they have them waiting for you right now in their till. And if you are a veteran, you can grab a free beer at the following breweries as of right now: Rebel Metal, Narrow Path, 16 Lots, the Common Beer Company, and March 1st. That said, Matt would like any other local veteran groups holding events or meetings at area breweries to reach out to him directly so he can then show up and hand out even more free beers. Along the way, it's only one of the reasons we are shining a spotlight on Cincinnati's city manager. Our conversation with Paula Boggs-Muthing is just ahead.
We talk about all the influential women in our city. We really need to talk about the person at the top. Paula Boggs-Muthing is the city manager, essentially the one running the city behind the scenes. She's only the second woman in history to be this and the first Asian American to hold the position. She's faced all sorts of obstacles, including a current fight with a reoccurrence of breast cancer, but all of it just makes her more determined.
Good morning. Thank you for being here.
I've always been motivated by issues of equity and justice.
Paula Boggs-Muthing can't be defined as one thing.
I consider myself to be a public servant. I think of myself as a mom and a wife and an attorney and a daughter.
She grew up in Harlan, Kentucky and came to Cincinnati to study law.
My mom came from Japan. My dad grew up in Harlan County. That's not an easy road. And I feel so lucky to be able to be here and have these kids enjoying kind of this wonderful city every day.
Despite leading the city, she bristles at the idea of being called a trailblazer. She tells me she didn't rise by herself. She was lifted by others. Now she's reaching back to lift others.
I worked with council members Keating, Kearney, and Sunderman to bring together a number of the female leaders in the city. And part of that is because it is an incredible moment for us to stop and recognize how many women are in positions of leadership here. There are so many more than when I started at the city, and so many more when a lot of these women started at the city.
Others see her as a person who helps make the world a better place.
I trust her implicitly to do what's right for the right reasons. Paula will not push a personal or selfish agenda. She pushes the city's agenda and holds people accountable for better work.
We know that employment and job training opportunities.
But she's overcome, 2 bouts of cancer and without missing a beat. I mean, this woman is tough and you do not want to mess with her. And cancer learned that the hard way.
Cancer, she says, has changed her in that she's become even more motivated to make a difference.
It causes me to have very little patience. I was already working with a high sense of urgency, and that it has really accelerated that. It is, I think, a change to your perspective, to be presented with kind of an end date. And, you know, we've got a lot to do. We've got a lot to do. So it's like we just need to get to it.
I should mention, Paula Boggs-Muthing says she is blessed because she has a strong family and great cancer care. Her treatment's ongoing, and she says the city she's running is financially on solid ground and ready for summer to welcome people back to being together. If you have an influential woman I should be talking about, email me at to'rourke@wcpo.com.
That's why I really truly have a passion to encourage other women, whatever their passion is, to find the support that you need and then just to pursue it.
Making a dream a reality. A mother graduating from med school says she couldn't have done it without her 4 children, all under 5 years old. She's the focus of this week's Positively Cincinnati, coming up right after the break. Welcome back. You know, when you see a photo like this, well, it's pretty easy to take in the smiles and not really think about just what it took to get here. Hagar Elgindy, you know, she's the graduate here, and her husband, Cedric Pierman, and their kids there, and the University of Cincinnati College of Medicine are the focus of this week's Positively Cincinnati. Anchor Kristen Hartman has their story.
Follow me. It takes a mama with moxie to lead 4 little ones. How old are you, Emmaus?
5. Ava. Izzy.
This is Elias.
Through this crazy journey we call life.
Go, baby, go.
But Hagar Elgindy is doing it and then some.
Med school is hard enough. Yes. You did med school after having 4 kids.
Notice, the soon-to-be UC College of Medicine graduate said, "We, not I." Make no mistake, to become a doctor, she's had to do a lot of solo work, like hitting the books.
And I just had to get smart about how I was going to utilize my time. So I had to wake up really early most of the time to get my studies done, so then by the time the kids woke up, I could take care of them and take care of the house.
So how early did you get
up? 3 a.m.
But her best friend, husband, and parenting partner has been there by her side every step of the way. You probably know Cedric Pierman as a Cincinnati Bengals running back. When his time with the team ended, Cedric picked up a lot of the stay-at-home stuff.
Everything's a blur, I feel like. So we kind of knew that our roles would transition and we would pick up on each other's, previous role.
We have a saying that a stay-at-home parent is a harder job than the NFL and pursuing medical school. So by the end of the day, you are just mentally drained, just from keeping up with the kids.
Well, look at the energy
I know.
here.
Yeah. This is nonstop.
Yeah.
They both say they make a great team. And there's one more giant MVP in Hagar's success equation, a most valuable place and person. Just follow the halls in the College of Medicine to the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. That's where you'll find Dr. Mia Mallory.
But it's important to be connected as a family because in medicine we are underrepresented, right? And so you may go through your medical career with not finding many people who look like you.
So there was that crucial connection and a source of incredible personal support. This is Dr. Mallory with one of Hagar's and Cedric's babies. She helped Hagar push through the academic demands that often challenged family time. And she cheered on the student all the way to match day. When Hagar learned the next step in the medical journey is University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. And now, as graduation approaches, the moving boxes in Cedric's and Hagar's Kentucky homes stack up. She's one of Cincinnati's finest exports, isn't she?
She really is. Not every student has that, and that drive and determination, so she's amazing. She's superhuman.
And says Dr. Mallory, she and her family have the heart to represent Cincinnati so well in this world.
I've learned so much in my time here in Cincinnati. Every single one of those aspects in my life I've planted a seed, and I plan to take that seed along, and it's going to bear a lot of fruit.
Thank you, UC. We love you, Mommy.
What an adorable family there. Thank you to Kristen Hartman for bringing us that story. And that is This Week in Cincinnati for this weekend. Join us for breaking news, weather, and sports at 6 and 11 tonight on WCPO 9 News. Plus, we are always updating your headlines on WCPO.com and download that mobile app to stay in the know on the go. Good night.